Next, we will dive into the world of 5G with another insightful presentation, the impact of 5G and IoT on cyber frameworks by His Excellency Engineer Mohammad Taani, Telecom Regulatory and Business Advisor. His Excellency Taani is a UK graduate with over 38 years of collective national, regional, and international experience in the telecommunications industry. While working in the public and private sectors, he gained deep and distinctive knowledge and expertise in the technical, operational, policy, and regulatory domains. Please join me to welcome him on stage.
أسعد الله أوقاتكم بكل الخير. اوكي. حاولت انه اخلي البرزنتيشن هذه as basic as I can be, but at the same time to make it as informative as I could as well. So when a new technology comes out and gets commercialized, there will always be the question, what's in it for me? And in the 5G case, the consumers will ask the question and we will say to them, well, look, you will have a better gaming experience, you will have a better streaming experience, you will have a better access to all the applications and services that will require high throughput and high bandwidth. Similarly, the enterprise, we will tell them that, okay, you will be able to have more innovation, you will be able to optimize your operations, and consequently having a better bottom line, whether this bottom line is financial or otherwise. And at the national level, definitely, it is an economic enabler. At the same time, it helps government to achieve their socio-economic goals. And while we are in such debate, someone stands up and he identifies himself as the security chief officer of an organization. And he will say, well, look, yes, against all of these amplified benefits, what could this technology do to me? And the intuitive answer is, well, amplified benefits and likely to be amplified risks. This is what we do not want. We want to maintain the amplified benefits of the 5G as much as we can, yet to reduce, mitigate, or minimize the associated risk with this new technology. And the success, security is one of the main pillars of the success of 5G. And the decision we take about the security of our communications today will definitely define the kind of society we will live in tomorrow. And this saying, I believe it is valid for today and every day. And the Internet of Things, without the proper comprehensive security framework, is definitely equivalent to the Internet of Threats. So we have to always be in line with these technologies. Now, again, I said the slides may be basic, but they do have some explicit or implicit relevance to the subject matter, which is the cyber framework and the impact of 5G and IoT on the cyber framework. 5G actually is nothing but an IMT standard, which is the 2020, and it has been characterized since the launch by three main elements: enhanced mobile broadband, ultra reliable low latency communication type, and massive machine communication types. And 5G provides far more enhanced capabilities than the 3G, which is the IMT 2000, as well as the IMT advanced, the 4G. And by the way, in the terminology, 4G is called LTE and 5G is called the new radio. So what characterizes 5G is more capabilities, enhanced performance, and it enables the real convergence between telecommunications and computing. And this is really where the message lies. Now, this interaction of aspects between telecommunication and computing defines a very complex ecosystem composed of heterogeneous stakeholders, too many stakeholders, heterogeneous technologies, heterogeneous processes and methodologies. And this is one of the areas, actually, which we will see later on, one of the challenges of the 5G, which is the competencies of the operational teams and their mindset. I have been in the telecom industry for so many years, and I still find it a little bit uneasy to understand some of the IT terminology. Now, just a little touch on the IoT services. IoT services can be provided in one of three ways. Either through the mobile communication networks operators through their 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G networks, or they can be provided as standalone networks. We hear of LoRa and Sigfox and the like. And these standalone networks, they tend to cater for the low throughput and no latency sensitive applications. Or it could be provided as a combination of both. Now, the non-mobile IoT tends to be less secure than the IoT services provided through the mobile telecom operators for many reasons. The lack of comprehensive standards and specifications that govern this industry so far, the tendency of the suppliers to reduce their cost, and the know-how of the standalone IoT operators is not as deep as the mobile operators. Now, a little bit about the 5G deployment configurations. Now, 5G can be deployed in what they call a non-standalone manner, which is you connect the 5G access node to an existing 4G core network. Or it can be a 5G core connected to a 5G network. Now, in the case of a 5G node connected to a 5G core network, this is what we call a 5G system. What is important to know that if the 5G node is not connected to a 5G core network, we will not be able to realize the full promised potential or the full vision of the 5G, which has been promised since the launch of the 5G. We said it is enhanced mobile broadband and ultra-reliable low-latency networks and massive machine communication type. out of the three, we will only be able to realize the first one, which is the enhanced mobile broadband. And that's why most of the initial launches of the 5G, they have been focused mainly on the fixed wireless access. The Global Mobile Supplier Association August report says that 84% of the current deployments are non-standalone, and only 16% are standalone deployment. This is probably a very good message because we are still at the early stage of deploying full potential 5G networks, and we can do whatever it takes to have the security by design when we implement the 5G standalone networks. Also, 5G networks can be deployed either as part of the public mobile telecommunication services, or they can be deployed as private networks, and this is relatively a new concept for the supply of the organization own purposes. And again, the language may sound a little bit basic and simple, but as I said, it does have some relevance to the subject matter. Because when we talk about deploying 5G networks for the private use, we have to take into consideration the fact that the owners of these networks may not have the full know-how as compared to the owners of the public mobile telecommunication network, and more care and attention need to be practiced in these cases. Actually, this slide is not meant to be to show the engineering aspects of the 5G. We will just navigate through this slide a little bit in order to try to identify some of the challenges or the cybersecurity challenges associated with the 5G network architecture. As we can see from the slide, في pointer هذا So, as we can see, with this architecture, we see a lot of functionality or more functionality happening at the edge of the network. We see a lot of heavy reliance on software and the cloud. The network function virtualization in the 5G arena, what does it mean? It means that the 5G functions, which used to be carried out by proprietary hardware and software by specific suppliers, is no more there. It will be a proprietary software on common hardware. We can see also that at the edge, there is a lot of room for connectivity. There is also the use of the short waves, which means there will be more sites and likely more surface area for attack. So if we run quickly through the 5G's challenges, security challenges, we mentioned the functionality at the edge, the distributed architecture, the heavy reliance on the, I would say, software and the cloud, and the integration and operability with other networks, especially the roaming. Again, we mentioned the operators' team's skill and mindset and the increased role in the overall economy because it supports critical infrastructure and any incident will really be disaster. Security features deemed optional so far. Now, when we go quickly through the security features of the 5G, unfortunately, so far, these security features are optional. Okay. Quickly, who are the stakeholders in this 5G security chain? The international and national specification and standardization agencies. Again, standardization is very important to avoid fragmentation. It's very important to measure compliance. It's very important for benchmarking and ranking. Policymakers and sector regulators, they have to ensure that they will have a continuously updated policy document based on the national needs and international best practices. Service providers, they need to be compliant, trustworthy, and they have a complete security product life cycle, and they need to secure the network element, okay, in their networks. And this is the same for vendors. Humans, of course, we know that they are very important in the chain. But the continued collaboration and coordination between these stakeholders is always a must. This just shows the interaction between the different entities or the different stakeholders in the chain. The 5G key security elements. 5G inherited the 4G security elements, but it provided also for enhanced feature. These features, the subscriber concealed identity. In the 4G, there was no concealment for the identity. Updated authentication and agreement key, stronger encryption algorithms, stronger security for connection with other networks, and the detection of false base stations. And this is a very important matter in the security arena, having a false base station which does not belong to your network and will be diverting all the traffic somewhere else. The risks at the policy level, very quickly, network softwareization and deployment. The policy should ensure that standardizations and the specifications should be followed. The security controlled should not be deemed optional in the network architecture implementation. Multi-connectivity. For the multi-connectivity, the service providers need to make sure that they are keeping a register for all the connected nodes, and they report on these along with any security measures taken to protect the network. Shareholder, this is very important framework role. The stakeholders, the stakeholders, they should really make joint efforts to clearly define the roles and responsibility, and they should cooperate in the implementation of these roles and responsibility. And 5G security standards, that we should have common standards for the 5G end-to-end rather than having a service-by-service security measures. Now, this is for just the transformation, what we need for the transformation. We need 5G connectivity fabric and enterprise-grade security. Just these two slides and we will finish. Now, what should you do, okay, for 5G? One, you have to identify the relevance of 5G to your organization. Do you really need it or you don't? Then you need to carefully study, okay, the technologies that will be used for the different use cases. How will they integrate into your existing systems and operation, and identify the associated risk. Run these risks through the different threat models, and based on the outcome, you can influence or decide, depending on your position in the organization or in the system, the internal cybersecurity processes and the procedure, the procurement procedures, the solution design and implementation, the control, testing, and monitoring of the process. Now, the takeaway, the 5G security world is not something new. It's about enhancing and accelerating the existing cyber security practices in the following domains: design, build, and operate a dependable network utilizing the zero trust principle. Never trust, always verify. Give the least leverage access, assume a breach, and the network segmentation should always be in mind to provide multi-level defense, as well as being contextual with your security approach for the different segments of the network. Proactive cyber incident response, of course, utilizing as much automation as can be with the objective of minimizing, the time between the breach to detect. Maintaining good cyber security hygiene. We should be asset-centric. We should also be risk-centric, and we should always take security as end-to-end. Cyber security is everyone's responsibility. Training, education, awareness, and the local corporate governance. With this, I conclude, and I thank you for listening. Thank you.